Chelsea fans, the UEFA Conference League is back. After a great 3 points against Leicester this weekend in the Premier League, we now shift our focus to the Conference League. FC Heidenheim host Chelsea this Thursday with a 5:45 PM kickoff. Can Chelsea keep their winning ways in the Conference League? Now, with Enzo Maresca experimenting with the lineup against Leicester in the Premier League, this leaves one question. Who starts for Enzo Maresca's Chelsea versus Heidenheim? And to help answer that question, I spoke to a good friend of mine, Chelsea with H, where we speak about the overall performance of the Leicester City game, which Chelsea players deserve to start in the Conference League, and finally, putting together our preferred 11. So make sure you watch to the end. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community and let's get into the video. So we are joined with H, the main man.
Hello.
The Donny.
Yes, that is me.
How are we doing, my man?
I'm alright, how are you?
I am very good, man. I'm very happy that you have joined us on this fine evening for this preview. I really do appreciate it. So, we are talking about Chelsea versus, I think it's pronounced Heidenheim?
But for the sake of the video, I will say Heidenheim.
And then you can tell us which one pronounced it right in the comments, because one of us is wrong.
Probably me.
I genuinely don't know, mate. I've never heard of this team other than the fact that they're 15th in the Bundesliga. At the moment, we're going away to their ground. Their ground looks like a rather small venue. I believe you described it as Dagenham or Redbridge ground, which I think is fairly accurate in terms of visuals.
Yes, it reminds me of your local team. Just, you go there, there's maybe burger stalls, you got some chips, but it's the proper greasy, dirty ones. You know what I mean? And I made the mistake, actually. I thought it was the stadium that had all the nice mountains, but it's not.
I can't remember what team it is that has the mountains behind the stadium, but I do think they are in the Conference League this year, so we may still potentially play them.
I think is it Noah? I think it might be Noah, but I don't know.
Yeah, genuinely don't know. But again, I see what you did there.
Yeah, you see what you did there.
Yeah, it took me a while. But yeah, so essentially, I want to know your quick thoughts over the most recent game against Leicester, because that was just a few days ago, and obviously we are blessed enough to have an A team and B team, however you dress it up. Some people don't like saying we've got a B team or whatever, but realistically, we do. What were your overall thoughts on the Leicester game? Do you think that we played well? Do you think that Leicester rolled over? Just give me your thoughts and feelings on it.
I think it's a mix of both. I think we did well, but for the people who have seen me before, like to paint me as a bit of a downer on Chelsea.
Okay.
We did play good, but at the same time, Leicester weren't that good, especially in that first half. Towards the end, obviously when Sanchez was doing his usual Sanchez stuff, Badiashile was a little bit doing his usual stuff. It got a bit ropey towards the end of both halves. So I think overall we did okay, but we need to learn to actually go cutthroat, sort of.
Facts, I agree.
And go at teams a little bit more. There's so many chances that we miss or someone makes a wrong pass. Not going to name names. Someone doesn't maybe pass the ball. But overall, it was solid, but we shouldn't get too carried away because Leicester overall are not the best this season.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Positive to take from the game, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we saw the game out well, considering how shaky we were, because we've been in that position before. We give away 2 goals, and then all of a sudden we're coming away with 2 points dropped. I think the penalty we gave away was a silly foul to be making at that stage of the game. I actually think Badiashile had a very good game, despite my opinions on him, and I've been very public about me not liking that, Donny. He actually had a very good game. He was solid. Sanchez had Sanchez moments, like you said, mate. There was a moment in the game, and I was saying this on my live watch along, where there was a set piece coming from Leicester, and he jumped to get it and completely mistimed it. And he tried playing it off cool, like he knew that was going to happen. But when you watch it back, that guy needs glasses, bruv, because he can't see. I don't understand it.
Hey, we're not all bad, all right?
No, but what I'm saying is you can see better with those on, right? Because I'm sure Sanchez would be able to in that scenario.
I don't think so.
You telling me it's one of them H&M no prescription things?
No,
Is that what it is?
I need these to see. Otherwise, no one wants to look. No one wants to see me. I look like I'm half asleep half the time, and I'm no better with them on. Let's be honest. Sanchez, I don't think glasses would help him. On a serious note, I don't know what it is with him.
Yeah, I think he's a good shot
very
stopper,
much.
His decision making's so subpar.
I'm trying to think of an ex-player who reminds me of him, where consistency is very.
Who was very inconsistent as a Chelsea player over the years?
This might upset a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. I might say Oscar.
Ooh. Do you know what? I'd back that. I think he had bags of talent, and when he was on his day, he was unbelievable, but he didn't do it week in, week out, for sure.
No. And
I think that when we sold him, it wasn't a big surprise because it was a massive amount of money, and we kind of went, we'll take it.
Yeah, especially back in that day, that was a lot of money.
60 M's for a player in 2012, 2013, when he was very inconsistent, you kind of go, yeah, it makes sense.
Like, I think a lot of people look back on Oscar and a lot of, what's that word, revisionism or something like that? And obviously the game against Juventus, very standout moment. But like, can anyone pick out anything else? Really?
Nah. I don't know if this is going to be a wild take or not, but he kind of reminds me of Joao Felix in a sense, where he looks pretty on the ball.
Yeah.
He'll glide past players, but sometimes the end product just doesn't cut it, needs to improve.
I hear it.
Maybe it's just the inconsistency of the performances. But when you watch him on the ball, glides past people, nutmegs them for fun, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Felix, actually, I want to chow him out for the amount of defensive work that he did against Leicester.
The challenge he was flying in with.
Honestly, when he went from left wing to right back, I can't remember the minute, but honestly, it did remind me of Oscar, as you just mentioned. Hard working.
I feel like Joao Felix got his opportunity in the Prem and took it.
Yes.
Because you can see he's been frothing at the mouth to try and get some Prem minutes, and he got his chance, and I think he's done everything he can to get a start against Villa at the weekend, personally.
Would you start him again at left wing, or are you replacing Palmer?
You can't replace Palmer. You just can't. I mean, I am, however, on the view that if Palmer is being marked out of the game and having a relatively quiet game, that we sub him out.
Yes.
65th, 70th minute or whatever. I'm for that. Joao Felix on the left wing, if he is going to do that sort of defensive shift week in, week out, yeah, I'd take that. Depends who we're playing, though, because sometimes it's a low block, sometimes it's high press or whatever. Yeah, I don't particularly like Felix and Nkunku out wide. I don't think they're that type of player. I think they'd perform better centrally by a mile. But it is a very nice option to have someone like Felix coming in off that left and drifting in. And we saw it, where you basically had Palmer and Felix as two 10s in possession against Leicester. And I think that works very well. So I don't see why not. I think he did enough. I think he played well enough to get another start.
Yeah.
When you look at Sancho's just come back.
I was a bit surprised to see him start. But obviously, Maresca's been talking about him and Palmer playing together at some point. And I think Leicester was the right call, especially...
Good team to
obviously
experiment.
Presuming that they would play with a low block, which they very much did. So I think it was the right call. But I'd like to see it more.
Yeah, I think it gives us another dynamic, and it kind of was a bite back to people who said Maresca is very one-dimensional and he has one plan. It's kind of like I actually have others, and there are times to implement it and times not to. So I rate it, and it worked.
And you know what? During pre-season, when I made a video on TikTok saying that I'm not a fan of Maresca in that moment because he doesn't seem to have another plan. It's just one route. We're sticking to it, very stubborn. And I got flack for it, So everyone, I know ball somewhat.
Very, very true, man. I back it. I back it. It's very... One of the reasons why I love football is the difference in opinions. And I said this on last week's episode with Si. Even though we're both Chelsea fans, we're going to have differing opinions, even within our own team. And I love that. It's what brings football... What makes it so special, right? Everyone can have an opinion. So on that, we move to Heidenheim, which I think is how you pronounce it. We play Thursday. We're going to be doing, instead of a predicted 11, because we're with H, we're going to be doing a preferred 11. So we're going to be building this squad together. And yeah, I suppose we'll get this started with a 4-2-3-1. Do you think he's going to play that?
Yeah, most likely.
I say usually how we do this, because I've only ever done one other episode with a guest, with Si. Shout out Si. We essentially just went through every position and put who we would like in there. Now, because this is a preferred 11 rather than predicted, I suppose we'll keep it in the same sort of theme. And I feel like our preferred is going to be rather similar to our predicted, but it'll be interesting. So I'm assuming you're going to say Jorgensen in goal.
If I threw the corn star in there, who, by the way, is Sanchez, if anyone doesn't know.
I love that you call him.
I'm joking. No, it's going to be Jorgensen. Let's be honest.
It's got to be, right?
It's got to be.
Do you know what? I wouldn't trust Sanchez in the Conference League. I genuinely wouldn't, because I don't trust him.
I think he would actually shine in the Conference League, which is why I want Jorgensen to be the Premier League goalkeeper. I'm just saying. Yeah,
you and me both. I think it's about time he gets that opportunity. It's about time that he is played against a team that isn't top six. It's not an Arsenal. It's not a Liverpool. It's not a City. So it's like you're set up for fail. I think it would have been nice to see him play against Leicester. I think it would have been a nice game to kind of test him out. When we are playing a team that's got a low block, it's going to allow us to have a bit more time to build up from the back. I think it would be very interesting to see a Jorgensen there, just to kind of see how he coped with someone like Leicester. But no, Enzo Maresca, blind faith in Sanchez, because according to reports, they highly rate him, and they are waiting for his ability to catch up with his age, which I think is mental.
And his so wonderful distribution skills, everyone.
Oh, unbelievable, mate. He should work for Amazon. His distribution is on point. I
like that. Except he's not good in the box, which is...
Yeah, his prime... he's definitely not prime service worthy.
I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't think either Jorgensen or Sanchez are Chelsea quality number one.
Okay, I see that.
I would love Mike Penders just to see how he would handle it, obviously being so young. Maybe you get a Courtois situation minus the snaky behaviour.
Or like a Donnarumma when he first signed for AC, he was like 16 or something. He was playing first.
And he's still in his 20s, which is crazy.
Yeah, he feels like he's been around forever because he started so young.
Do you think there's a goalkeeper out there that realistically we could sign?
Yep. And a lot of people tell me I don't know ball. A lot of people tell me that I'm an idiot for thinking this. But in my head, I think logically and financially, it makes sense in the short term. So building off of what you said with someone like Mike Penders, right? If they really see potential in him and they want to nurture him and grow him over time till he is going to be like this unstoppable number one and have like a Courtois or a Czech regen, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that we should go for someone like Jan Oblak, who is experienced, fantastic shot stopper, getting on a bit, so you could get him on a cheap, but you'll be able to get good playing years out of him until Penders is ready.
Yep.
I don't think it would break the bank. I think who wouldn't want to come to the Premier League at any point in your career? And he's a fantastic shot stopper. The only thing that lets him down is he's not a ball-playing goalkeeper, and I'm fully aware of that.
Yes.
But I don't know. There's something about Jan Oblak. He was one of the best goalkeepers in the world 5-6 years ago. Like, you don't just lose that. Do you know what I mean? So that's who I would go for in terms of realistic, financially good, and fits a hole that we don't have, you know. But again, it's the ball-playing part that lets him down.
So do people say you don't know ball because his ball-playing ability is not up to par?
Because they're like, so they say, oh, but you know Enzo wants a ball-playing keeper. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fully aware of that. But at the same time, he's in his 30s. He can play a pass to a centre-back. Like, if he has to. He might not be Edison on the ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But how many Edisons do you see?
True.
You don't. You see one, maybe two. And, you know, you've had other people like people want Diogo Costa.
Yes.
It's going to cost us 60 million for a keeper, which I think is Kepa numbers. Yes, he's better than Kepa. But again, I just don't see us dropping 60 million on a keeper when we've got like 9 on the club.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Mamadashvili? Isn't he already pre-agreed to go to Liverpool or something?
He's going to go Liverpool, yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, okay, that's gone. And then we've bought Jorgensen, but apparently we wanted another keeper that Enzo was eyeing up in the pre-season that we didn't get. Like,
I can't remember his
name. You look at our books, we've got like 9. So,
yeah,
we have to do something. If they're going to put their faith in Sanchez, cool. I'll back the club. I'll back Sanchez. Yeah. I'll call him out when he's poor, obviously, which seems to be every week. But I'll give him credit when he's good, and hopefully we get some consistency out of him. But I do feel like throughout this season, with the amount of games we're going to be playing, you know, our season doesn't end till mid-July because we've got the Club World Cup at the end, we've got a Conference League, we've got, you know, potential cup runs. I think there will be time where we see Jorgensen play Premier League.
So I don't think Sanchez is exactly the worst keeper in Chelsea history, but obviously some people will have their opinions. But the amount of times, even in one single game, that he's inconsistent, it's just not enough to push you overall throughout the season
for sure
to win a title. But time will tell.
Yeah, I think that's what people get so frustrated with, is the inconsistencies, because we've seen him make incredible saves. We've also seen him make some absolute horrendous cock-ups. Like, there's just no in between. So
there isn't.
Hopefully Jorgensen does get some game time. I think he will play, obviously, in the Conference League. And hopefully, again, he just keeps doing his thing. And hopefully he'll get some time in the Prem and other cup competitions to prove that he can kind of push Sanchez.
He's also looked shaky.
Yeah,
sometimes.
He's not been perfect. Yeah, he's had actually no. I think against Servette away he was horrendous.
Yes.
He's had a few times, to be fair, and it is to be expected. I always say this: like, goalkeepers aren't going to be perfect. We get that. No player is going to be perfect, but it's are they going to do that on a consistent basis? Because that's something that Sanchez is consistent at. He's consistent at being inconsistent.
Yes.
You don't know what you're going to get.
We love that.
But with Jorgensen, you kind of know what you're going to get in terms of someone who's comfortable playing around the back and can make a good save. You know? So, hey, I will give you the option of going left-hand side or right-hand side. Where would you like to go, my friend? You want to start with the left back or the right back?
Do you know what? Let's start right back, because I think
traditionally we go left back. We'll go right back. Yeah. Okay.
It's more difficult than what some people might think.
For sure.
Because obviously I don't want to put Disasi at right back.
Why not? Unbelievable.
I would
player.
love. He has his days at centre back.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I actually stuck up for Disasi a lot last season. If he could repay me back, please. I will say I would love to put Achampong here, but I somewhat want to keep the preferred 11 somewhat realistic as well.
Well, Achampong just needs to sign the contract. If he does, then yeah, I'd put him there too. And I think he'd play.
Yeah.
But until that's all sort of not sorted, realistically, I think Disasi would play.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I can see it opening up for him now, especially Reece being as, we'll say, vulnerable as he is.
For sure.
I'd love Achampong here.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have to put Disasi, which is sad. Because bear in mind, Aston Villa on the weekend, and I don't think Gusto will play here.
Yeah, so. Do you know what? I can't knock your logic there. I can honestly, I would put him in a predicted. That's how confident I am. I think it would be Disasi. And
it's, remember, just because it's a preferred 11, it doesn't mean I'm happy about this, but it's a necessity.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Disasi, I think a lot of Chelsea players in the last season or so have had extreme flack when they have been bad and extreme praise when they do the slightest things good. And I get that. It's just the way that the internet is sometimes. I get that. And I think Disasi has put in some solid performances, mainly from centre-back, like you mentioned. But I feel like with Enzo's system, if we do invert on that left-hand side, Disasi goes into a back three, and I think that's where you see the best of him.
Yeah.
There has been times, though, when Disasi gets turned out and folds like a deck chair, because that guy turns like milk. Do you know, I've seen milk turn quicker.
Yeah.
I just have.
To give him some credit, sometimes his passes forward, breaking lines of play, I actually think they're not that bad.
Yeah, I would say it's just his mobility. If he had a bit more mobility, he'd be a lot more versatile within the systems. But no, I back that. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Right centre back. I think there's only one person that can go here in terms of fitness and rotation.
I think it's Tosin.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be Tosin.
Yeah.
It's got to be Tosin. And I really like
He's
Tosin,
an interesting one,
I really rate him. I think he's a good defender. I think, he's got Premier League experience. While going with the site, you going to load or what?
Oh, my.
What is going on, bruv? All right, let's duplicate.
They're not on our side today.
They're really not. I've literally had no issues, bro. What is going on? Right. Okay. Playing 3 of an 11. Right. Okay. I just love that. It's amazing. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, I think I might put saved and share accidentally. Anyway.
Maybe.
I think with Tosin, I think he's got experience in the Prem. Yes, there were moments at Fulham where he got exposed, and I feel like that was part of the system and team that he was part of. I think Fulham got exposed at times, especially by the big 6 teams. But I like how calm he is on the ball. I think he's quite confident on the ball. He wins a lot of aerial duels, and he has to partner Badia Shield most of the time, so I just feel for the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To give him credit, obviously, maybe people expect too much from him.
I'll give you that.
He is a free signing, and knowing Blue Lake, he will be sold probably in the summer. But to give him credit, I do like him. Might be far-fetched. I mean, I've said in my TikTok videos, he's got a sense of Thiago Silva about him. In the sense, before people come at me, that he has a presence at the back. Now,
yeah, I'll give you that. He does.
He might not always, live up to that presence, but I can still feel the presence, the aura, as kids will say.
He's definitely got aura.
Yeah, if I'm giving Disasi credit for his passing, I think Tosin is also a better passer.
Yeah,
we've seen
that's the one thing,
especially through the middle.
Yeah, I've been impressed with how he can win an aerial duel, be comfortable on the ball, and drive forward with it, or make them line breaking passes. And I think, like you said, for a free transfer, with a bit of Prem experience, who's played there, and again, you say aura, I totally agree. For me, I just feel like he's confident. Like I think that's the presence he gives off. He's like, I know what I'm doing, got a job to do. He doesn't really look like he panics.
Yeah,
he's been caught out a few times. I'm not saying he's perfect, but even when he's been caught out, he doesn't look like he's scrambling back, or he doesn't seem to panic in situations, and I rate that. I like that. Sweet.
But sometimes I'd want more urgency from him, though.
Yes, for sure.
Going off of
sometimes
what you said.
He's very casual.
Yes.
But, our defence is just, you never know what you're going to get, really. On paper, it looks great. On the day, Badia Shield played like, I was going to say Paolo Mutini then. Played like Paolo Mutini at the weekend. Pencil full of lead and everything. He turned up like Maldini. And then, next game he'll play like someone in Sunday League who's had 15 points for a game.
It's a segue into the left centre-back.
It really is.
Badia Shield.
Genuine question. Do you think he'll play the full 90 in the Conference League because he played at the weekend? Or do you think there'll be a rotation here?
I think he'll play full 90.
Okay.
I'd prefer he does, because I don't think he starts against Aston Villa. So
that makes sense.
I would prefer that he gets the full 90.
We'll go Badia
unless one of the academy boys
gets a shout,
can get 45 minutes.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, when it comes to left-sided centre-backs, even when I'm doing my predicted 11s, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Premier League, you have Colwell.
Yeah.
Conference League, you have Badiashile. They're the only left-sided centre-backs in the squad, right? But again, I've made it very public how I'm not a fan of Badiashile, but he was exceptional this weekend. Exceptional is probably a bit too far, but he had a very good game for his standards, at least.
Yes.
He had a very good game, and it surprised a lot of us that he was starting and that he performed very well.
It was a throwback to him under Potter.
It was a pre-injury throwback for sure, mate.
Yes.
Because it was about
the good days of Potter.
Yeah, man, that 5 or 6 game period, and we thought, oh, cooking. He's a Rolls-Royce defender. And then for the last 18 months... I still
think he's got it in him, you know.
Yeah, he is only young, and I think he can get back to that level. But again, for me, it's a patience thing. If he's going to be if he brings out that type of performance to every game and he sets that as his standard, cool. Start him every week, mate, because he was class. He was very good, very composed on the ball, interceptions, in the air, driving forward, what Maresca wants. But if you're going to turn up like you did against Servette, bro, just go home. Don't bother coming to the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
here's a question.
Oh.
Do you think it's because he was playing next to Colwill and Cucurella?
I think that
instead of Tosin, and
I think that plays a part, and I think that's purely because Maresca has said a few times that Levi Colwell is showing leadership skills and qualities, and I feel like when you've got Cucurella on your left hand side, mate, you ain't got to do a lot because he's just been.
If you put me next to Cucurella, I'm performing as well.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Because Cucurella is insane at the moment. His form has been unbelievable, and again, having someone like Colwell, who, even though he is very young, we forget that he's like 21, which is crazy to me because he's played in the Premier for a little while now. He's got a bit of experience here. And he is showing that leadership sort of side of things and trying to keep that back line organised. I think it helped massively, yeah. So that's a really good point, to be fair. I didn't even think of it like that. He's got 3 great players around him. He can't not play well. To
be honest, as much as I, obviously was very praising of Badiashile's performance against Leicester, I do think that is a big factor that he had Cucurella and Colwill next to him.
Yeah.
Not saying... Obviously, I would want him to perform outside of playing next to them because he's not always going to play next to them. So hopefully we can see Badiashile from the Potter days, because I do think, especially his passing ability, some of his passes were very good. And the right runner behind them, I want Badiashile to be good. As much as some people might think, when I'm harsh to some of these players, I do want us to do good.
Yeah. I'm very much in the same boat. However, if he was going to be sold in January, I will put my own money and put fuel in my car and I will drive him to the next club myself. You know what I mean?
Oh, not baddie.
Yeah, man. And we have a great chat about all of the errors he's made at the back. And we'll reminisce on the 3 games he's had that when he's been good. But that's just...
So, you'd rather sell Badiashile than Disasi?
That's a tough one. I feel like Badiashile has more use currently in this system than Disasi, because Disasi is primarily a centre-back, right? And I don't think he's going to get on that right-hand side. At the moment, we have 2 left-footed centre-backs. Kind of got to both play. So in that specific scenario, it would be Disasi for me. However, I genuinely believe that Chelsea will sell both of them, either staggering them January, summer, or both at once, if the right amount of money comes in for them. Because I just think that the vision has changed and they were required at a different stage. With the ongoing Reece James issue in terms of being injured, being not, we're relying heavily on Gusto. Ashenpong hasn't signed a deal. We have 1 right back. So we need to be in the market for a right back at some point. Centre backs. Enzo likes the Colwell Fofana for Premier League. That's the partnership. You need a backup that's just as good or going to be just as good. And I don't see Disasi and Badiashile living up to that standard. Badiashile and Tosin, I think Tosin could get there with the right partner. I'm not sure Badiashile is the right partner to do that. But it's not to write them off. Like you said, I still want our players to do well. But,
of course,
if he was being sold, I wouldn't exactly be sad about it, Whereas some players, I'd be like,
so do you also think Chalobah comes back and gets into the team?
There's two ways to look at this: emotional and logical. And on both of those, I say yes. I think that there was a big uproar when we loaned him, because originally we wanted to sell him, and then we didn't. And I understand that.
And thankfully, it was only a loan.
Yeah, and I understand that, right? Because I really like Chalobah, and I praised him a lot because he was the great wall of Chelsea, mate. He was solid when he played in that last run of games. And people forget he was injured for a large part of last season as well. So I'm not saying he's the best centre-back ever, and he is a Cobham graduate, and I get all that, it goes around it. I think he's a very good centre-back, and I think he starts over Badiashile and he starts over Disassi. It's as simple as that. He's playing well at Crystal Palace right now. I think he goes there, he plays a good season next to playing with someone like Gahey, and then at the end of the season they'll review it, and I think we'll get rid of Badiashile and Disassi if we can make profit. And I genuinely think that Maresca will want Chalobah to see if he can fit into this team. They're my thoughts, and I think that makes sense emotionally and logically, personally. So, yeah.
Yeah, you also get versatility. I mean, Chalobah can play right back.
He can play in a back three.
In defensive midfield.
He can play in a back three, back five. Yeah, he's comfortable on the ball. He's not the quickest, but he doesn't typically make too many mistakes at the back that are Disassi-esque or Baddie-esque.
Yeah. But he has had some.
Yeah, he has. Like I said, no defender is perfect, and he has had some mares. But when we go back to the consistency thing, he was utilised massively under Tuchel. Unreal player. And over the various 4 or 5 managers we had in about 2-week period, he also played a spell when he was fit, and he did well. I just think he can do a job, and I think he could do a job better than those two.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? It would be. That's a player, if we did sell, I'd genuinely be sad, because he's got a lot of potential. Yes, it's pure profit, but I just think he can go on and do more. We'll want a club to get rid of him. So this is where it gets interesting, right? Because we've got to the left back, and we go left back, and then we go up to the defensive six, or the double pivot. And this is where it gets interesting, because I would personally like to see Viega in the double six.
Yeah.
But
then who does that leave at?
Who plays left back? So it depends on what Enzo wants to do, because when we played at Panathinaikos, we played a 4-1-4-1.
Yeah.
So we didn't really need to invert. We had the option to, or we had the option for the front four to drop one in as well and be a 4-3-3, or a 4-2, whatever it is. So I feel like Vega has to play left back on limited options, but I would really like to see him in that 6 pivot. I like him there. I know he naturally inverts from that side, and he can do that. I personally think he gives me Rudiger vibes. Like,
yes,
not on talent, but on passion.
Yes,
like, straight up. Like, he will 2-foot you into the ground and be like, "What?" Do you know what I mean? Like, he just loves it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we missed that. We've missed that a lot recently. So, what are your thoughts? Would you agree with him playing in the double six if we had an option at left back, or do you think he's better at left back?
I think he's played next to, I think it was Enzo in one of the Conference League games, and he bossed it. And I'm thinking if maybe the Leicester game, that not new, but like that changed system with 2 sort of number 10s, Palmer, Felix, could it have been like a prelude to this game?
Ooh.
Because I anticipate a very heavy low block here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe it's a case the formation might actually not be 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, it might change.
And we go something similar to Leicester.
Potentially.
But that might be giving away who I want to play as 10s.
Interesting. Because there's another football player that a lot of people can't decide on. Well, I find quite funny that our own fan base can't decide on, and that's KDH. How do you play him?
Yes.
Is he good enough? Whatever. Like, there's just so much around him specifically. And also, an important thing is Vega also paired Caicedo against Bournemouth away, and he had a fantastic game. Like, those two as that double six, I thought was very, very good. Again, not perfect, but the standard was relatively high. So should we stick Vega at left back just to be sure? Because I don't think there's anyone else that could play left back. Unless you're bringing in someone like Cucurella.
I definitely wouldn't play Cucurella. I think Vega will be starting here, but I think he will invert, and I think one of the two in midfield. Yeah, and I think one of the two in midfield are going to push forward a bit higher up, which is the guy you've mentioned, actually.
KDH?
Yes.
So would you start him in one of these 2-6 positions, yeah?
100%. I like Dewsbury Hall.
Interesting.
Similar to Tosin in how he reminds me of Silva. I've mentioned once, Dewsbury Hall kind of reminds me of Fabregas. Not talent-wise.
That's wild.
That's, not talent-wise.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's got the same abilities.
Okay.
But the sense that I don't think I've seen Dewsbury Hall run on the pitch.
He just kind of glides, doesn't he?
Yeah, he floats.
Yeah.
Right? And he just reminds me of when Fabregas was here.
I get
And Dewsbury Hall, obviously not the same passing ability, not to the same level, but I actually think his passes are very good. And he's a bit unlucky to not have more assists. I don't think he has any. But I like Dewsbury Hall. I know a lot of people don't.
I'm all for giving him time. I like what he can bring. I think there was a game, against Panathinaikos, I was doing a live watch along, and the amount of people that were giving him abuse, and I'm like, he's had a fantastic game. He was part of every single goal. He might not have directly got an assist, but he was part of that build-up where he'd knocked the ball on. He made space. Like, we had KDH, Enzo, and Felix as that midfield three. KDH basically gave Enzo and Felix free rein to do what they wanted because of the positioning he had, and then linked up further, and it worked very well. I think he has got a very high ceiling. He was obviously Championship Player of the Year. We can see that he's a good player. I just think he's been unlucky with how good our squad has been. He's going to have very limited minutes in the Premier League. I think across the season he will be a bit part player, but if he plays that well, I feel he has a role within this squad, 100%. Do I think he should be starting over Enzo, Felix, Caicedo, Palmer? Of course not. But who else do you expect to start over those players? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think Dewsbury Hall recognises that as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he came here thinking... Of course, maybe he wants to. But I don't think he came here expecting to be a starter. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes you need players that are just happy
to play their role.
To be in the squad, right? Not to mention Gallagher, of course, because a lot of people say, oh, Gallagher's better than Dewsbury Hall, why didn't we just keep him? But Gallagher didn't want to just be another guy, right? He wanted to be in the team, starting week in, week out. He just wasn't going to get that. Dewsbury Hall, look, I like Dewsbury Hall. He's happy to accept his squad role. I think he's good enough to be at Chelsea in the squad role anyway. I like Dewsbury Hall.
So you wouldn't call him a Danny Drinkwater 2.0?
No, because I think he's more talented than Drinkwater.
So I'd back that. We've seen more from Dewsbury Hall based on his highlight reel last year than we ever saw of Danny Drinkwater. Do you know what I mean? But that's usually the comparison.
I think that's a bit disrespectful that people have compared him to Drinkwater.
Yeah, they're like, it was FFP, you needed an English person, we spent similar money, he's not going to do anything. And I'm like, I think people are so quick to write people off. So, when you look at last season, you had Jackson, everyone was saying he's like biggest flop or whatever. And now they're like, she's really good. I'm like, we've been saying this for ages.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But no, I back that. I think Dewsbury Hall has a lot of space to be a good player. Has there been games where he's upset me? Not really, because I've not put a massive expectation on him. I understand that he's been bought as a squad player, and I'm like, cool, just do your thing. I think he's actually had some good performances. Not all of them have been amazing, but he has had a collection of good performances for sure. I like that. So, who are you partnering him with in that 6 role? At least to start with.
This is another difficult choice because I'm not a big fan for example, of Cassidy playing as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I don't know why people want to see him as a DM.
No. I mean, I understand, his aerial ability and physicality that he brings, but was it the Servette game? I think it was the Servette game where positionally, I don't think he's good defensively. And
yes, I don't think it's natural to him.
No, it's not. And with all due respect to obviously Conference League opposition, I know people say it is only Conference League and sure, chuck him there, whatever. But once we progress, I don't think people would want to see Cassidy playing defensive midfielder against Fiorentina,
100%,
for example.
Yeah, exactly. Copenhagen or whatever, one of the harder teams. No, you...
Especially, I mean, yeah, even teams you don't necessarily expect to be world beaters.
Yeah.
I think we're going to progress. Shock horror, right? But there obviously will come a point where Cassidy cannot play defensive midfielder. Probably we will see Caicedo integrated here as well. That's a headache for Maresca when the time comes. I think Cassidy probably should start this though.
Ooh. Don't forget this is your preferred 11.
And sometimes you have to make difficult choices in life.
I'll rate it,
Would you suggest anyone else? I mean, I'm open to hearing.
I'd like to know how to spell his name, because...
I think it's A after that. So C-A-S-A.
D-I-E, innit? Oh, there it is. There he is.
Yeah, there
I
he
apologise. My spelling is atrocious.
I don't even think I've pronounced his name correctly, but...
Good. I mean, to be fair, I understand what you're saying, and I do like Cassidy. I don't like him as a DM. It's not natural to him. And the Servette game you're talking about, I think the first 10 minutes or so, and I think he also played there against Barrow. First 10 minutes, he looked like a Bambi on ice.
Yeah, I think it's the Barrow game that I'm thinking
He
of.
looked like Bambi on ice, first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
After that, once he did settle, he had a very good game. So if it's a case of that, I feel like he can get away with it in the Conference League more. But like you said, the further we get on, you're not going to want to be playing these harder teams and going, oh, Cassidy needs to be playing in that 6 role.
Yeah.
I would like to see him in more of an attacking role where it is more natural to him. But realistically, he's not going to get in over the types of players we've got there.
Yeah. And I don't want to see him, actually, ahead of some other players.
Yeah, for sure.
That I would like to start.
What we've seen Enzo do in this 6 role is borrow 1, sometimes 2, depending on how fitnesses are of people, but at least 1 of the DMs from the A team or the Prem team to play. Usually we see Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez partnering the other person. The other person that I would probably put in for that is Enzo, I suppose. But again, he played... Was it full 90 against Leicester or close to? No, he played the full 90, I think.
I don't think Lavia, for example, starts against Aston Villa. So I think it will be Enzo Caicedo.
Exactly. And Lavia isn't in the Conference League squad either. So he's not even an option here. So it kind of has to be someone like Caicedo. I mean, there have been some wild rogue rumours, or I say rumours, wild takes to play Chukwuemeka in the defensive 6. And I'm like...
I don't know who's saying that, by the way. That is not something I would like.
No. But there have been many comments on my TikTok when we have Conference League games saying that Chukwuemeka deserves minutes at any given time, so he should play as one of the 6s. And I'm like, that is horrendous. But I understand that they want to see him play. And I totally agree, he should get minutes. But he's got to fight for his place, everyone else. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I think that does the job so far. Do you want to continue from the right to left or switch back to left to right when it comes to the wingers?
No, we'll switch back. Left to right.
Wing. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting one for many reasons because you could play Mudryk, who has had a very good Conference League campaign overall, whether it's goals or assists or just general performances. I believe Sancho's in the Conference League squad and he's just come back to fitness, so it could be a good run out for him. you're not going to play Neto there. He's still, as far as we were aware when we recorded this, he's still got a knock. And I wouldn't want to play him against Heidenheim. I'd rather utilise him against Villa if possible because of how well he's playing in the Prem. So I would probably go with Mudryk. I think this is his competition. I think he's tearing it up this season.
I agree. I think potentially, similar to the defence, this is maybe the easiest choice, other than probably up top, if we're both thinking of the same player. But I think left wing has to be Mudryk. He's done very well. I personally would like to see him integrated into the Premier League side. But
okay. Do you feel like
maybe
he's done
that's
enough?
just me being a...
Do you think he's done enough now?
I feel like he has.
To start.
Considering Madueke has not performed realistically since the Wolves game, I think playing Mudryk, because I think Mudryk's ceiling is higher than Madueke.
I agree with that.
I think Mudryk is very much a confidence player. And I assume he understands that his role right now is
fight for your place,
the quote-unquote B team.
Yeah.
But I would like to see Mudryk build confidence in the Premier League side. But that's just me potentially being selfish.
No, I definitely see your point. I agree with most of it. I also think that Mudryk has done enough to get more game time in the Prem. I just look at it from a different perspective of the only way he gets game time is if Maresca drops Noni on the right to then play Pedro. So then Mudryk has free on the left. Yeah. And Enzo's got this weird relationship with Noni right now. Like, Noni could have one leg and he'd still start. And I don't quite get it. I feel like he is a scapegoat sometimes with some of our fans. You know, even if he looks in the wrong direction, everyone's like pitchforks out. I don't quite get the extensive, like the extremities of it. But he is a very frustrating player to watch. A lot of people say, like yourself, he's just living off that hat-trick against Wolves. And yeah, he was outstanding. I think he played okay against Forest. At the end of the day, he got the goal that kept us in it. You know, so but since that point, yeah, he's just not been performing as well in terms of output. I think he played well against Leicester. Didn't, obviously had the goal line clearance thing, which is just one of those things that happens. It doesn't happen all the time. But it would be refreshing to see someone else on that right wing from the start. And I would like to see Pedro Neto get a start on that right to then free up that left-hand side. I just think it keeps things fresh, I
think that's the key as well, keeping it fresh. I think Madueke is sort of... Obviously, I don't know the guy, right? But I feel like he might believe that he's untouchable, sort of, on that right-hand side.
Potentially, yeah.
That's why keeping it fresh, I agree. I think it's important because it might actually get him to perform better, knowing that he can be dropped. I think that was the issue last season with Sterling when Poch was here.
Yeah.
No matter what, Sterling was in the squad, right? And we saw Sterling not improve, especially on the wages that he's on. I don't want to say Madueke is exactly like that. I actually think Madueke is better than Sterling right now.
I back that too. I think Sterling was one of the... trash. I could make a whole video on that. Didn't like the signing from day one.
You got 2 hours?
Yeah, man. I didn't like that. I could do a whole episode just on Sterling, mate. I didn't like the signing from day one. Just didn't make sense to me.
Really?
No.
I kind of backed it.
When it was announced, I literally went, why have we signed him? We're spending all that money... in terms of wages and transfer. I get he's a marquee signing. He's done everything. I get it, experience. We need someone who's going to bang 20 goals a season. You want to pick a left winger who scored goals under a Pep Guardiola system side.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the same service with a bunch of kids, is he? He's going to have to do it on his own. Yes, he had good games, but he was also a winger that was extremely frustrating to watch. And it got under my skin more because he has the experience that he should know better. You know what I mean? When I look at Madueke and he frustrates me with a decision he made, I go, yeah, he's young. He's got to learn. And I remind myself, he's got to learn that to improve. When it was Sterling, I'm like, what are you doing, bruv? It was an Aubameyang thing where I'm getting paid mad money just to turn up, bro. I'm guaranteed a spot. I don't care. I can drop a 4 out of 10 game. I'm getting paid. And that's how it comes across.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
But, hey.
And people want to talk about, obviously, Madueke being selfish. But if you suffered through Sterling's selfishness, this is a walk in the park.
Maybe
I mean?
that's why I defend Noni a bit more. Because I'm like, nah, hang on. It's nowhere near as bad as Sterling.
We've had worse.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, I totally agree. I think Mudryk on that left-hand side, I think he's going to have another good game.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to the number 10 role, that central position. We have got hatfuls of players that could play here.
Let's go right-hand side.
Oh, okay. You want to go to the right side?
Central is difficult.
Okay, fine. That's fine. We'll go right-hand side. I genuinely think... We spoke about this a little bit off camera, and you were like, what? I think Tyreek George plays on the right-hand side against Heidenheim, if that's how you say it. I genuinely think Tyreek George plays.
I'd want him to, but I also think maybe this is the right game for Sancho to build up fitness.
That's not a bad shout, actually, because he's just come back. So it'd be a good run out for him.
Yeah.
Do you see him starting against Villa?
No. I don't think he starts against Villa. Because...
But do you think he'll deploy Sancho on the right-hand side? I know he's played there. A few times.
Yeah.
But I suppose...
no disrespect to
Tyreek George.
Heidenheim.
Or Heidenheim,
right?
Yeah.
No disrespect to them, but I think this is a game Sancho can build fitness. But I guess I would rather see George, just because I don't think after this round of group games
We'll see too much more
that we have. Yeah, I don't think we will. So I'm going to go George.
All right. I do see the Sancho, though, and it makes a lot of sense. If he's not going to play Villa or at least start Villa, it would be a good run out.
Yeah.
The only thing, and the other thing that kind of backs that is Enzo's going to go for experience when he needs it. And I think that makes sense.
I actually think... I actually think Felix might start against Villa again.
Oh, I hope so. Do you know what? Lineup builder, you've done Tyreek George wrong, mate. He ain't even got a face. It's crazy.
There's a guy at striker who also doesn't have a face, who I potentially might put.
Oh, okay. So do you want to go up front and then go back to that 10 role and leave that for last, or are you going for that number 10?
Do you want to go up top first?
Okay. Naturally, I feel like people are going to just want Nkunku to play because he deserves minutes, and I totally get that. I think he's a world-class player on his day with a run of form. He's played very well, and technically he is our record goal scorer so far this season. Scored the most goals, right? Also playing Heidenheim, however you want to say it. And again, no disrespect to them, but I think it's a good opportunity to potentially play Mark Guiu.
Yep, that's exactly who I was going to go with.
Because his pressing is incredible. His link-up play
and I think he deserves it after the last
100%.
Conference League game.
And he scored his first goal. You could see how much it meant to him. He's not going to get as many opportunities to play across the season because of his age and because he is so raw. So I think it makes sense to play someone like Mark Guiu. At least to start. Bring on Nkunku. Maybe even if you just give him a half. Or... Maresca, I think, in terms of a predicted 11, would start on Nkunku and bring Guiu on for half hour to go. But in this preferred, I'd prefer Guiu to start up front for sure. That's who I would go for.
I'm the same. I like Mark.
I think he's great.
When he first signed, obviously there was a lot of hype around him, and I think he's shown it.
Oh, facts.
I really like Mark. Some people compare him, obviously, to a midfielder, because he's very good at pressing. But I actually think we don't have that as a striker at this club, to be honest.
Not as intense as Guiu does.
Jackson, a little bit.
Yeah, Jackson's got better at his pressing, but he's not a presser. He does it because it fulfills a role. You know, Guiu naturally has the legs and the engine to do it. He does it very well. The only reason he scored his first goal was down to his pressing. Do you know what I mean? He forced the error.
Yeah.
And it's a good finish from him as well. I think I'm a bit of a weird guy when it comes to looking at transfers. It's the similar thing with Tosin. In my opinion, in the last 30 years or just under that I've been supporting my club, we've spent so much money, right? Just across the board, right? Whether it's training facilities, players, whatever. When you sign someone like Mark Gee, who has raw talent, for less than like 6 million British pounds,
yeah,
I always see it as a free. You can't get that wrong. If he's not that great, you can sell him for a profit, so you're not out of pocket. And if he's amazing, mate, you can cash in later down the line, or you've just got a gem that you can nurture for a long period of time. And I think Mark Gee was genuinely that. Barcelona fans were genuinely upset that he was sold. They were like, oh, mate, he's meant to be like the next best thing. That he's shown signs of it in La Liga and for Barcelona's like youth academy and stuff. I think he's got a very high ceiling, mate. I would go Mark Gee. I think it's class.
I agree. I was going to put him. I referred to him. Not. Oh my God, he's got a picture now.
Have you also, like, when I first saw him in the up close, like Chelsea lineup picture, or not the lineup pictures, but like the press pictures, he is very wham for an 18-year-old. To the point where I was like,
yeah,
you ain't 18, bro. If you're like 26, this is a Diego Costa thing.
He also looks different every single time that I've seen him.
I know, right?
His hair changes like we're playing the Sims game.
It's mad. But yeah, no, I rate him. I think he's got very high potential. So that leaves us with, in H's opinion, the hardest or the most difficult decision of this preferred 11. And I, to a point, agree. We've got a lot of players that can play here. You could play a Chukwuemeka to get minutes. You could play a Felix, but he did play at the weekend, and I feel like we've already said he may play and start against Villa. It's a lot of minutes, and Maresca likes this rotation. Can't play Palmer, obviously, because he's not in the squad. I would really like to see Chukwuemeka in this position. I really would like to see him.
You're forgetting Nkunku.
Oh, and Nkunku can play that role too.
Just behind the striker.
To support Gui.
Because
that's naughty.
I think it was Poch pre-season where Nkunku behind Jackson showed real promising signs. And then obviously Nkunku got injured.
Yep. And then we started this season.
Yes. So I'm torn here between Chukwuemeka
and
Nkunku.
Do you know what I think? One, Nkunku didn't even hit my mind because I've been brainwashed into thinking he's a number 9 because Maresca wants to swap him in that position, even though we know he can play behind. Now you've said that makes a lot of sense, and it gives a bit of experience and quality in that position with surrounding players. Like,
I'm of the opinion, as a lot of people, my heart screams for Chukwuemeka to be somewhere in this team.
But I feel
especially
like
last season,
Nkunku
I pushed for him a lot, but also I have to be somewhat realistic. I just can't see
playing Cassidy, George, Guiu, and Chukwuemeka all in the same starting 11. What I feel may happen, though, if he was to go this route, is he would start Nkunku and possibly bring Chukwuemeka on with 20-30 minutes to go. I think that's more realistic than starting Carney. I back that.
Yeah.
I think that's naughty, you know.
The only way
I like that.
I'd say Chukwuemeka gets in this team if Nkunku obviously starts up top and then Chukwuemeka in behind. But I feel Mark deserves to start.
Yeah.
Whereas Chukwuemeka, yes, I think he's very talented, and I love the guy. You could argue, I mean, if you really want, put him on the left-hand side. He played there a few times for Aston Villa. But then obviously Mudryk, he also deserves to play.
This is where it becomes a headache for Maresca with all these players and all the games coming thick and fast. It's on merit, you know. It's like who's performed. And at the end of the day, we're just two Chelsea fans that create content and have an opinion. Maresca sees these boys training day in and day out. He's going to know who's performing higher and who's performing at a better standard to be chosen. That's what makes it so fun.
And I also think, given that, I feel like he would have played Chukwuemeka already more. But there's something, obviously, I don't know what it is, but there's something he probably doesn't like in training, maybe.
I mean, he did start the season with an injury. And there was this rumours that we were trying to offload him before the window shut. So maybe knowing how Maresca can be and has been, is like, here are my players. You ain't involved. And he's now gone, right, well, rather than you not play for 6 months, because that's damaging to your career, you can fight for a place and we can try and integrate you where we can, even though you might not originally been part of the plan. Same with Ben Chilwell. Right.
I was going to mention him
like
as
Ben
well.
Chilwell. To be fair, when we said who else can play left back, it didn't even hit my mind that we still have Ben Chilwell as a player.
I thought about it, but people who have watched me knows
He's
that
gone, mate.
I do not like Ben Chilwell.
He's gone.
This isn't
2021.
2021, right?
Yeah, he's gone.
Listen, as much as I loved him as a wing back, which is the key, he's not going to fit this team.
Nah, he's played very limited minutes, and he's played okay when he's come on, but I just don't think he's a system player that Enzo wants, and I think that's fair enough, mate.
Was it Barrow that he came on
I think he played against
for
Barrow.
a bit? And I don't think he did good.
Yeah.
So I think there was a Barrow player that ran straight past him, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. So no Chilwell, if anyone thought Chilwell.
Like I said, I forgot it's still about.
I can see changes being made if people want to make them. For example, Chukwuemeka.
For sure.
I can see it.
I could also see
Sancho starting.
Yeah, Sancho or Cassidy with someone like Caicedo who's got an engine, who will just play forever. Disassi for Gusto, if Disassi's not fully fit, if Gusto's got the legs.
Actually, Gusto might be the only one that I think Defo will not play.
Yeah. Mate, we're just back to square one with this right back shortage. We've got more games in more competitions and less right backs. We've got one that won't sign a contract and one that can't stay fit.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's unfortunate about Achampong, but
yeah, it really is, you know.
I can see his reasoning.
Yeah.
To be honest.
He doesn't get lost in the system. He wants to fight for his he wants to be able to play more. I genuinely think he would, though. I think Gusto would get promoted to first, and then his replacement.
Do you think if he signed, do you think Enzo would integrate him, though?
Yeah, I think games like this would be perfect for him. Lower rounds of the FA Cup, potentially. Yeah. I don't see why you wouldn't. The times that he has played, he's played well. Show promise for a youngster.
He has, actually.
Again, Reece James being in and out of fitness. I don't think whether it's an emotional thing or a logical thing, either side, I think it makes sense. You've got Gusto who just needs rest. You need someone who's going to play there, who is a natural right back, not Disassi. Do you know what I mean? I want to put my wardrobe right back. You know what I mean? I want something that can go up and down or whatever. The blessing is when you do play someone like Disassi, you can invert with someone on the left-hand side and it becomes a back three.
Yeah.
So that is the blessing. Whereas if you play Achampong, you're going to expect him to invert on that right-hand side.
Yeah. Hey, unless Maresca does crazy things and Disassi starts inverting.
Yo. The day I see Disassi inverting, man.
But think about that. A bruiser coming into midfield. It would take
him 20 minutes to get to the centre of the pitch, bro.
I just want to see it for 10 minutes at least.
Could you imagine? Mate, I was at the Servette home game, right at the bridge, and I saw this guy get turned inside out over and over and over again. And he was at right back. He didn't even push forward.
Look, he will have Dewsbury next to him. It's fine.
Or Cassidy. They'll protect him.
Or Cassidy, yes.
Mad. So that is our preferred 11, curated with Mr. H himself. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who would you play in different positions? Would you play players in the same positions that we chose? Be interesting to know your thoughts and opinions, to be honest. It's one of those games where I feel like it's 3 points for Chelsea and it's just a case of how do we want to get them, you know? Not to underestimate Heidenheim, but it's the Conference League and so far we've scored a lot of goals, not conceded many, and won all the games. And I feel like it's going to be a repeat thing. It'd be interesting to know your thoughts. What are your score predictions for the game? What do you feel like? How do you feel this game is going to play out? So we've got our predicted 11, or preferred 11, sorry. How do you feel this game is going to play out?
I don't like doing score predictions because
you're superstitious.
I always jinx it.
And you feel like, I totally agree. But I'll give you a bit of optimism here. I've done a score prediction for all the games this season, and I'm also very optimistic, and I've got every single one of them wrong. So that
fills me up so nicely.
I said we were going to beat Leicester 4-2.
Don't take that out of context.
Yeah, that's a bit pause. You know what
I mean?
All right, maybe not a specific score, but how do you feel like a game like this will go? Thursday night, away in Germany, to a smaller ground, a team that's currently 15th.
5:45.
5:45. Ooh, okay, a bit earlier as well.
Yes. Do you know, I think it depends on who starts. Obviously, our preferred 11 is one thing. And thinking about it now, maybe George starting in such a potential hostile environment. Then again, the stadium's quite small. So, but German fans are very passionate.
Yeah, for sure.
So, obviously, no disrespect once again. Other than perhaps Bayern, Dortmund, I think this is going to be one of the biggest games for them. I think they're going to turn up. I think it's going to start shaky, similar to Servette away. And we're going to need Nkunku especially. If he does start in the middle, that experience is going to come very clutch, or at least I hope so. So I think it's going to start shaky, but we'll regain control. And it depends how the defenders are. Yeah, how are they going to turn up to this? Because it all plays into account in those shaky moments. I don't want to see towards the end of the half we've controlled it, and then last few minutes now we're scrambling, we're doing silly mistakes. But going off of the other games, 5-0.
Cool.
That's what I'm going for.
Jeez. You talk sense. And I feel like you are right. It was going to be a bit more of a hostile environment, smaller ground, fans are closer to the pitch. We are the away team. Mm-hmm. The pressure's all on us. This is going to be like and again, no disrespect, but like a big day out for them because they're not playing the Bayerns or the Dortmunds. But this is a competition they're going to want to go far in, right? And I feel like they are going to come at us. I feel like as the game settles, they'll go on a low block. But I feel like for the first 15, they'll just try and absolutely smother us. And I feel like it will be our experience and the way that we play that breaks that. And I feel like we can capitalise on that early. And I feel like it might be a Panathinaikos type thing where they try coming onto us, we play the ball around and we score a couple, and then all of a sudden they go, all right, cool. Just go back to a low block and it'd be damage control. 5-0 though. And crazy. Do
you know one thing?
Yeah.
A lot of people obviously don't like Dewsbury Hall, right? Mm-hmm. But I think against these type of sides and in this competition in general, I think his control in the pivot, especially when we don't play an Enzo every single game, I think is very important.
For sure.
And that's why I like Dewsbury Hall. Just to throw that
again, I think he plays his role very well. And I think, especially if you're going to have someone like Cassidy next to him, he's going to have that.
You need control.
Yeah, exactly. They play together at Leicester. They've got a little bit of chemistry in that sense. I think he can work very well. Someone like Nkunku as well, to keep things calm. Mudrik's been playing well. So I'm going to go, I mean, to be fair, you went 5-0. I'm going to go 4-0 because it's been like the most average score we've had in this competition every game. But I feel like we'll keep a clean sheet. I feel like we'll become a bit more settled.
I hope so.
We kind of know what to expect in these games now. We've gone to Servette. We went to Panathinaikos, which is considered one of our toughest games.
Yes.
I feel like we kind of know what to expect now. We've kind of been around some of these European places. And Heidenheim aren't the smallest team we're going to play. I am kind of cautious of that hostile environment, though, because I think you made a point there.
Yes.
That can...
Also, I've just remembered, I think I said earlier that Noah was the stadium that had the mountains and stuff, but I remembered that we smacked Noah 8-0 not long ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I was talking about.
We were at home to Noah, weren't we?
Yeah. So I don't think it was Noah that had the mountains.
Well, maybe it was, but we're not going to play him away.
I can't remember.
No, I genuinely can't. I know what stadium you're on about, though, because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go there.
I don't know why I'm so fixated on this mountain, by the way.
I just want to go to the mountains, bro. That's fair enough. But no, that is everything. We've gone for our preferred 11. We've gone over our thoughts over the weekend's game, our thoughts over the game that's going to come up this Thursday, as H has rightly said, at 5:45. It's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it. I want to say a massive thank you to yourself for coming on, man. The behind the scenes of this.
Your pleasure.
Oh.
Not my pleasure, your pleasure.
I appreciate it.
I'm joking. It's been an honor.
Thanks, man.
I'll say.
I appreciate it.
Because I don't create, obviously, too much regarding football. I'm more of a just watch the match, waffle a little bit, and keep it stepping. So it means a lot that you decided, hey, I'm going to bring this guy who will talk a little bit. I enjoyed it very much, especially off camera. Obviously, you guys didn't see off camera.
Mate, the behind the scenes of this recording, it's been an absolute mess, but it's been a chaotic, beautiful mess. But no, I appreciate it, man. You're a really good guy. I'll have you on whenever, any time that you're free and you want to talk Chelsea, you're more than welcome. I know right at the end of the video, this would have been plastered across the screen throughout the video, but your socials will be on the screen. And, you know, if you guys haven't followed H, he does have a main channel where it's more commentary, but he has started a Chelsea channel, and the link will be in the description for that, so feel free to check that out. Again, it will be highlighted throughout the video, but I just want to say a massive thank you to the love this channel's been getting. Thank you for the time to coming on here. Up the Chelsea. And
up the Chelsea.
If you made it this far to the end of the video, comment cheese, so I know that you watched a ridiculously length video, because I appreciate you. You're a real one. And if you did make it this far, there'll be a thumbnail on the screen. If you enjoy Chelsea content, click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.